I was getting the same text you were yesterday, Joe, which I wouldn't call them panicked. I would say the concern was a little elevated. Is this really happening? Seemed to be the theme. Are we going to lose this thing? Joe Biden remains today what he was on Saturday at 11:30 in the morning, the president-elect of the United States. He just is. Now, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot going on. As you say, the courts already have held up. So they will continue to hold up in the face of these challenges because there's not evidence being put forward. Even the two Georgia senators who asked for the Secretary of State in their own state to step down because of the way the elections have been run. He said, I'm not stepping down. That's a fantasy. Didn't provide any evidence. They just threw it out into the atmosphere. And the argument is, as Casey Hunt will tell us in a minute when she joins us, is that Mitch McConnell is so focused on those two Georgia Senate seats. He's doing this to fire up the base and get people out so he can keep the majority in the Senate. Well, at what cost is he doing that? He's firing up the base to hold on to two seats, which he should hold anyway, quite frankly, at the cost of creating this confusion and this doubt about our electoral process where there isn't any. As you say, the margins are so much bigger this time than they were, obviously, in 2000 when it was only 537 votes. It's not comparable, but there are a lot of Republicans. There is an attorney general who are indulging this tantrum. I don't think any three of us or any parent watching this show would allow the tantrum to go on like this, or to allow the toddler to continue to scream at the top of the lungs and then go into the room and say, what more can I get for you? That's not how you're supposed to do it, but it's the way they're handling it. It's the way Mitch McConnell's doing it. It's the way some Republican senators are doing it. It's the way the GSA, the office that ensures a smooth transition, is handling it. It's obviously the way President Trump is handling it by firing his Secretary of Defense. Create chaos, create doubt. It's on us to stay focused. It's on the country to stay focused and know the truth and tell the truth about what's happening in a fair electoral process. As Republican secretaries of state and Republicans on electoral boards have told us again and again and again, there is nothing shady here. In fact, this was a smooth election that Joe Biden won.
It's sound and fury signifying nothing. And the only thing I'll say is, yes, Mitch McConnell will do whatever he has to do to retain the majority in the United States Senate. But right now, what he's seeing in the state of Georgia, where Democrats and independents are going to be united to actually put Democrats in charge of the Senate and to run Mitch McConnell out of the majority speaker's office, majority leader's office, what he's allowing to happen right now is a civil war happening in Georgia. The people of Georgia elected their Republican Secretary of State, and they know him very well. And he's run a fair election. Yeah. And it's obvious because there were no specific charges against him at all. It has been a clean race. And what you're doing, so let's say, for instance, this Republican civil war where Republicans are attacking Republicans, which is just so idiotic. Let's say it peels off 5% of the vote. Well, you've got Senator Ossoff, if that's the case. Let's say it peels off a little more than that. Well, maybe, just maybe, you have Democrats in charge of the United States Senate. It sure seemed like a long shot on Election Day when we found out about these runoffs. But if the Republicans are going to be fighting Republicans in the state of Georgia leading up to this election, then suddenly anything is possible, including Mitch McConnell losing the majority.
Yeah. And, Joe, you mentioned Jones Day. That's not the only, law firm that's dealing with these things, but some of the senior lawyers there are expressing concerns, and they're pretty embarrassed, actually, that they're from, and they've taken on a lot of controversial cases. There's a piece in the New York Times that reached out to these law firms. There's another one, Porter, Wright, Morrison, Arthur. One lawyer has quit in protest. They're so embarrassed about this being taken on. So even these firms that you mentioned that have such an incredible reputation, and law firms, often, relish taking on controversial clients and really exploring the limits of the law to make sure that due process is there. Right. They're looking at this and just saying, please, are you kidding me?
Right. And the problem
you're going to take this?
This is what's happening now is this is what totalitarian regimes do. Right. And stay with me. Take a deep breath and stay with me.
Your hair is not on fire.
What totalitarian regimes do and tyrants do is they decide what they want the legal result to be.
Exactly.
And then they work back from that and try to find evidence, try to make up evidence to lead to that conclusion.
That's the phone line, you know, I mean, it's
so that's what's happening here. And so, again, let me say again, every Republican, every Democrat, every person that runs for office has the right, as Mitch McConnell said, to have all the votes counted and to present any legal challenges that they may have. But here we are, 6 days into this, and there's not been one credible claim put forward by one Republican. You got Rudy Giuliani in front of sex shops and lawnscape places, just blabbering, talking generalities. You have generalities coming from the White House. Again, nothing specific at all. It's really embarrassing. The few people that make up specific things, I won't even say their names because they don't deserve to have their names mentioned on this show. They present no evidence of it. It's all just allegations, and they're just looking. Again, they've got their conclusion, and now they're desperately searching for any evidence that will lead to that conclusion, and it's not there. So the only thing I would say to law firms, the only thing I'd say to elected officials is, if you've got the evidence, bring it forward. If you don't have the evidence, stand down and let this country move forward.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.